Welcome to Double Overtime, Ultiworld's professional Ultimate League podcast, episode 6. Here we are, partway through, looking at the PUL season, looking ahead to the Western Ultimate League Championship weekend. Getting excited, getting hyped. Jenna, Sascha. We have some fun games to look ahead to, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was a pretty slow week overall, with just 2 games, but we've got a really, really exciting week coming up. So I guess first off, Jenna, how's your week been?
Week's been all right. Spent my weekend out in Davis, California, out amongst the cows and out amongst college regionals, Southwest regionals. 4 bids on the women's side, 2 on the men's. And surprisingly for the Southwest, things basically went as expected. Normally you can expect the Southwest to be good for at least one surprise, but no, pretty much everything went exactly to seed. Certainly in terms of the bid, Stanford did beat out UC San Diego on the women's side for the second seed out of the region, but San Diego had already been Stanford the day before to qualify for nationals, and they only had a roster of like 13 players, so they were like, whatever, it's fine, we'll play who we play at nationals. If we lose to Stanford and we take 3rd in the region versus 2nd, not a big deal, they were going anyway. So yeah, it should be fun in a couple few weeks out in Milwaukee for couple weeks for D3 nationals and a few weeks for D1 nationals. How about you?
Pretty chill week. Stayed at home. Didn't do anything this weekend other than watch Frisbee. Just watched Frisbee.
Lots of Frisbee.
I'm currently wearing my Continent Tour jersey from Houston. It's actually Nate Little's. Shout out Nate Little. We traded jerseys after the game. But yeah, that game is actually now up on YouTube. So everybody can go watch that. It's on I think the channel is dis.diversity, if I'm not mistaken. Or you can just type in disdiversity on YouTube and it will pop up. And you can watch. And you can watch me play and a bunch of other great black players from around the country play.
Do it, folks. Check it out. And do it ideally this week before we have just an absolutely packed schedule of Ultimate coming up this weekend. 6 games in the Premier Ultimate League, although that extends up until Tuesday, as Medellin Revo Pro make their way north for the first part of their road trip. And then we have, of course, Western Ultimate League Championship weekend down in San Diego. We'll actually be down there to do reporting for Ultiworld. So if you're at Championship weekend, hit me up, say hi. But first, shall we talk about the games that happened? Only 2 this weekend, Sascha, in the Premier Ultimate League. Both games involving Austin Torch, both on the road, both won by Austin. Start with the first game, Game 1 versus Atlanta.
All right, Game 1 versus Atlanta. They came in and they started. The game was pretty even for a little bit. They tied it at 3s, and then Austin just kind of took off and never looked back. And then at halftime, so they went on looks like a 10-3 run to bring it to 6-13 at halftime. After the half, it was more of the same, but it wasn't like Austin they started to run away with it, but then Atlanta made a small comeback. So it was only, that half was only 6-7. So, Atlanta.
Pretty close game initially.
Yeah. So like if we, take away that big run that, Austin had right at the end of the first half, then the game would be pretty close. But that happens. That Austin did just kind of run away with it then, and then they just cruise the rest of the way basically. Some standouts on that game for Jamie Estes. Oh, shout out whoever did the stats for Austin. We really, really appreciate it. It's amazing. Helps us out so much. Jamie Estes had 6 assists on 9 throws. That's wild. And
an incredible stat line.
Yeah, and like
assists on 2/3 of the throws.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that works. Jeez.
And one of the assists, if you were follow the Austin Torch on Twitter, they put up one of her assists on the little video. One of her assists was like a really big huck. So it's not like it was just, she's catching outside the goal line and then, doing a little dishy pass. Like she was throwing these things. Like that's incredible. Also, Katie Forth had 4 goals. Sierra Rimmer, 4 assists and 2 goals. Brianna Stedman with 3 assists and 2 goals. So kind of a lot, the names that you normally hear for this Austin Torch team were doing a lot. On the Atlanta side, unfortunately, don't have stats for them, so I can't give specific stats. But as usual, Marie Peruvier. Did I say that right? Peruvier?
I think so.
Yes. Okay.
Marie, let us know. Correct us if we got it wrong.
Please. She was all over the place, as she does, for Atlanta and for UGA, who is their Callahan Award nominee this year. Yeah, she was all over the place. And then as well in the backfield, also Lisa Fitton was doing a lot of great things. Again, don't have stats, so I can't really specifically say how many goals, assists, blocks she had. But, as I was watching, I noticed, Lisa was doing some great throws, great defense overall. Honestly, like, as I was watching this Atlanta team, it was a lot of just little mistakes that ended up costing them, basically. So little mistakes that ended up costing them break. And they just couldn't get that, I guess, defensive pressure on the turn to get the disc back. And I mean, that's just it. And I feel like that's, I guess, what's happening. I know that Atlanta's a very young team. So it could be just a lot of inexperience, but yeah, I think they just need to dial up the pressure on defense after a turn.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this from earlier games that Atlanta is very much in rebuilding mode, trying to build around the college players, and nice to have Leeson and Jenny back this week, but can only do so much as a single player. So again, I think we touched on this. I think just last weekend. It's going to be tough for Atlanta to pull out wins, especially if they can't get them at home against an Austin team that was before this weekend winless on the season. So it's tough, but with Privier and company, you'd hope for, if you're an Atlanta fan, that things will get better down the line. Good performance by Austin, I think more to what we were expecting, and especially considering that they basically gave away that game against Portland. Good to see them get one with a little bit more of a comfortable margin.
Yeah, Austin definitely should be 3-0 right now. 100%. They should be 3-0.
But they're not. They're 2-1 because they did get another win on the weekend, also on the road against Nashville. In Nashville, Torch winning 18-15. This game was pretty tight throughout. I think the biggest margin was 3 or 4. So not too much between the teams throughout the game. Primarily it was Torch able to go on small runs throughout the game, 3-0 runs, 2-0 runs, just picking up breaks here and there. And while Nashville were able to get some of those back, they weren't able to pull it all the way back. Even though they did get another opportunity, they did get a key opportunity early in the game because of time management issues, which, y'all, I swear, oh my gosh, like, doesn't have
It's a
to be
weekly
this
thing.
difficult. I say it every week. We're gonna say it
It's a
every
weekly
week. If
thing.
I am saying this the same thing week 10, okay, in short, in the first quarter, Austin turned it over. An Austin player had it with like 8 seconds left, or the disc was released with 8 seconds left. You can hold on to the disc for 8 seconds in the PUL. Or if you don't want to do that, you can reset it and then run your offense. Just, I know it is like almost antithetical to us as Ultimate players to be like, oh, well, this person looks open, so I should throw it to them. But like, Austin gave up a break opportunity that put Nashville up 5-3. Like, it just, it can be so costly, and I don't understand it. I don't still. Someone please explain. And again, I think I said this last week. I don't know if I would be that much better, but watching from the sidelines, I'm just like, oh my God, someone please just say, hey, hold the disc or something. It bothers me so much. And it happened.
I mean, you can work it up the field a little bit, and then you just play dump game.
Just play dump game. And you don't even have to play for that long. You don't even have to be like, oh, we're going to scrub roll offense for like an extended period of time. No, you just need to play the dump game for like 3 passes. Hold the disc, reset it. Hold the disc, reset it. Even if you're holding it for 6 seconds and then resetting it, that's fine too. Guess what? Oftentimes in Ultimate, and I'm just going to get on the tiny soapbox, and I promise I'm going to get off it. Oftentimes in normal offenses, with a 10-second stall, you hold the disc, you look up field for 1 or 2, maybe 3 counts. Then you look at your reset. If your reset is there, then you stay with them for, another 2 to 3 stalls, another 2-3 seconds, and then you look to your second option, who's normally coming in to fill. And then, that's 7-8, and then maybe you're at 9 to 10 when you try and like either jacket or you get to your secondary, fill person. That still takes time. I don't even know what to say anymore. Y'all listen to the podcast and do the thing and don't turn it over when you don't have to. When you can literally hold on to the disc for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds. Doesn't feel that hard. Sorry, I have feelings about this. It feels so preventable. And then people give up breaks. Teams give up breaks. Anyway, it didn't end up mattering. Austin ended up winning. But Rebecca Hunter did have an absolutely incredible layout catch for Nashville that gave them a 6-5 lead. And then Austin went on a bit of a run and went on a run again. From the end of the third quarter through the end of the fourth, and that was it. That was the game. Stat leaders for Nashville: Jesse Schaffner, no surprise, 6 assists, 17 completions, pretty good. Jesse also picking up a couple of goals as well. So no surprise, Jesse Schaffner, can't talk tonight. Doing it all for Nashville. While for Austin, Jenna Bigby, 5 goals, 2 assists. Berrigan, 3 goals, 2 assists, 3 blocks. Some pretty good stats all around for Austin. So they're now at 2-1. They trail Raleigh in the South Division. And they'll progress forward into the rest of their season. Austin playing at Minnesota this coming weekend, while Atlanta is in action in Milwaukee. Should we talk standings, Sascha?
Yeah. sorry, real quick about with the Nashville Austin game. Shout
Yeah.
out to Low Garin, who played some of the best defense I've ever seen played on Jesse Schaffner. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. So
It's tough to
look
play
for that
defense on
matchup in the
Jesse
game
Schaffner.
yeah. look for that matchup in that game, and it's a good watch. All right, so yeah, moving on to the standings, right?
Let's do it.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Right. So we have in the divisions, we've got Indy Red in the Midwest division at 2-1 at the top of their division. Southwest has Raleigh at 3-0, and the East has Portland at 2-0. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the simple part. The problem
that is the simple part.
Here's the thing. The problem is that currently, and this was posted on Instagram, and it's now it's on the Premier Ultimate League's website under their results tab. So if you go Premier Ultimate League 2022 results, you'll see that at the top of the page, it lists 2022 results standings and lists teams in order, which, if you're looking at it, it may be confusing because it doesn't align with what we just told you. For example, Indy Red is 2-1 record, is at the moment the number 11 team out of 12. And also DC Shadow, who's sitting at 3-1, is number 2 in the league ahead of Raleigh Radiance, who is 3-0 and beat DC in the head-to-head matchup. So, Sascha, care to try and explain why this is so different?
Okay.
And if you don't want to, I'm happy to attempt.
I'm gonna try here.
All right, let's do it. Let's hear it.
Oh, also Atlanta Soul at 0-2 is at number 8, above Indy Red at 2-1 at 11. That didn't make any sense either. It's we were told, as far as we were told, the standings for championship weekend were going to be the 3 division champions, regular season division champions, and then the best second place team. And the best second place team was going to be decided by using the USAU algorithm.
Or at least a version of it.
Or a version of it, yeah. But it kind of seems that they're just using the algorithm at this point.
Maybe?
Question mark?
Which it kind of makes sense, only in that you say you're going to use the algorithm for this best second place team. Okay, well then, fair. And the teams aren't playing balanced schedules. Notably from Ryan Kindle, who has been putting together and updating the league standings, has also put together a visual of what the matchups are that are scheduled for the PUL this season. And notably, he points out that Raleigh and Austin don't play each other, despite being set up in the same division, and Portland and Medellin are also not playing each other despite being set up in the same division. In the Midwest, all of the teams there, Indy, Minnesota, Milwaukee, and Columbus, all play each other. And every other divisional matchup is being played except for those 2 games. So given that, I can maybe understand using the algorithm. But also, if the algorithm, and okay, granted, we are 6 weeks in out of 10, there is time. If the algorithm is giving you results that put a team that has a win over another team, like behind them in the standings, and okay, obviously this can happen in a bunch of different ways, so it's not just all, but like the DC Raleigh situation in particular, just like boggles my mind. Like, yes, DC has looked good, and guess what? They have lost to a team, and that team is Raleigh. And I don't understand how Raleigh can somehow be behind DC, other than algorithmic magic. And so
algorithm is king.
The thing for me is this is not inherently bad. It would just be great to have more of an explanation, and to have on the PUL page that, okay, these are the results, these are the standings based on what? Because if you were to look at just their records, or if you were to take what we had heard initially for the season of these different divisions being set up, then it starts to not make sense. POL, hit us up at OOTpod. Let us know, because we'd love a little bit more clarity. Obviously, we still have a fair amount of time before championship weekend for the POL, but we're 6 weeks in out of 10, and I still am not really sure how they are determining who makes those final 4 spots, and we only have 4 weeks of the regular season left, which is a little bit concerning, at least from my end.
Yeah, I'm confused. I don't know what to do or how to talk about it, because I just don't like, why is Revo number 1 when they've only played 1 game?
Because they have a perfect record, but same can be said of Raleigh.
A team against the Monarchs, they played 1 game against the Monarchs, who are 1-2. So, like, I don't...
And the Monarchs who are sitting at number 7 overall.
I'm confused.
And look, as with everything when it comes to these leagues, and you will hear an interview with Aly Steinfeld as we talk about Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend. We got to talk to Aly Steinfeld, player for Oregon Onyx and a Western Ultimate League board member. Western Ultimate League, Premier Ultimate League have boards and have teams that are largely run and organized by volunteers. And so we understand that not everything can be perfect or set up or responded to right away. And fundamentally, if you're going to operate as a pro sports league, it's kind of important to know who's winning in said sports league and to know who's leading the league. And even if that is just yes, this is the algorithm standings until the whole regular season is done. Great, fine. Just tell us that, because I don't think anyone has been told that, yes, these are the standings, and yes, they are coming from the algorithm, and they are being used for this reason. And instead, we're having to rely on Ryan Kindle's Twitter account at the moment, which is not ideal. And shout out Ryan. And again, understand things are volunteer. Would just love like a tweet or a line on the website of like explanation for where these results are coming from and why and how they're going to get used. Which I hope is not too big of an ask for a professional sports league, professional ultimate league, to clarify who is winning, basically, to put it bluntly. But hey, second full regular season, I guess, first post-COVID, not fully through the season, would love a little bit more info. I hope that's not too much to ask, POL. Okay. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Sascha, anything else?
You like soap.
Or something. Or boxes that contain soap. I don't... Actually, this is a total tangent. I have no idea where that phrase came from. I would love to know. Anyone who's
it's because soapboxes were used in the olden days when people... Because they were stronger, and so you could like flip them upside down and actually stand on top of it for when you're talking to a crowd. That's how.
That
smart
makes sense to me. The more you know. Learn something new every day. All right, Sascha, any other PO business that we need to cover before we move on to talking Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend?
Nope. I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Just our picks. I picked Austin twice, and you picked Austin and then Nashville.
See, I don't want to like talk about that.
See, but I do, because I now have a +5 picks advantage since I picked that Austin would correctly win both of their games. Well, you ended up picking that Austin would beat Atlanta, but Nashville would win at home. +5 lead to me. We're going to try and keep track of that going forward. All right. Actually, now we're going to have a break after I made Sascha listen to me brag about winning picks again this week. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend preview, and then we're going to take a mini break, and then we're going to talk to Aly Steinfeld from Oregon Onyx and the Western Ultimate League Board of Directors. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Double Overtime. Now, after the break, we're now talking about this weekend, WUL Championship Weekend. And it's going to be an exciting one. First Championship Weekend WUL. We've got 4 games total, obviously, with the two semifinals and then the third place and the championship game. So let's break it down.
Let's do it. Start with the first game. Seattle taking on Arizona, the top seeds, undefeated Seattle Tempest taking on 2-4 Arizona Sidewinders, who squeaked in. I feel like we mentioned this on last week's show. It still blows my mind that they won not only just 2 games all season to go 2-4, but they won those 2 games at home in week 1 and then did not win again for 7 more weeks and still made championship weekend. But hey, I mean, they might like their chances. They have at least a shorter trip than Seattle does. Although the game that was actually in Arizona in week 1, the only game that the Sidewinders lost at home, went 26-18 in Seattle's favor. So a bit of a margin to overturn. Some players to look out for both teams. We'll start with the top seeds, Seattle. Seattle, as we've mentioned time and time again, it feels like on the pod, a very deep, a very balanced team. Still some standout performers, in particular, Sam Rodenberg, 17 goals in 5 games. That is over 3 goals a game, which is incredible. Cheryl Sue.
Jenna, real quick about Sam and these 17 goals.
Yes.
10 of these goals were in 2 games. Another game, she didn't score a single goal in. So... like that,
Feast or famine, I guess, if you're Sam Rodenberg.
Yeah, like putting that into perspective, that like she's scoring a lot of goals in each game.
Yeah, very impressive, and throwing quite a few assists for Tempest. Cheryl Sue, Club Breakout Player of the Year in 2021, throwing 13 assists. And then Sheena Titcomb, feels like one of the sort of marquee central players for Seattle, and the stat line of 7 goals, 11 assists, and 9 blocks very much backs that up. Sheena dominating in all facets of the game, had that basically game sealing layout block against Oregon in their game. I think it was just last weekend, or I guess 2 weekends ago now.
2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago. So those 3 in particular. Also, again, shout out, and we take a little break after we break down the games. Talk to Aly Steinfeld. Stats are updated per player over the course of the season on the Western Ultimate League website, which makes this a lot easier to talk about some players to watch out for. As for Arizona, they have also a number of outstanding players. Jay McLaughlin with 12 goals, 12 assists, and 9 blocks, which is one of the more monster stat lines that we've seen, just absolutely critical to the Sidewinders' success. LP Aragon with 1,800 throwing yards over 6 games. That is easy math. 300 yards, 3 full football field lengths of yards each game on average, which is also ridiculous. And finally, and also Aragon 15 assists, because of course, if you're going to throw that far, you're probably going to have 1 or 2 assists along with that. And Lindsay Doyle, yeah.
Sorry, with throwing yards as well, it also counts negative yardage when you're throwing a dump. And so technically it's a little more, but like in terms of stat keeping, it's still a lot.
Interesting. It's a helpful note to keep in mind. Lindsay Doyle, just to wrap up Arizona, 10 goals, 7 assists. Key pivot player for Arizona. They're going to have their work cut out for them, though. Sascha, should we do our picks right now? Seattle, yes. Arizona. Let's do it. I'm picking Seattle.
I am also picking Seattle.
Great. I feel like undefeated team versus 2-4 team that made it in without playing, without winning any games for 7 straight weeks, isn't that difficult.
Yeah, I think that Arizona's going to put up a fight. I know they're hungry, and I know they're ready to play their hearts out, but I think Seattle's just going to overcome it. And if I'm Arizona, I am sending a nice big old fruit basket to San Francisco
and LA for that matter.
And LA, both of them, for, playing that game, and then now Arizona's in championship weekend. Yeah.
That still blows my mind. That game is now out on YouTube, that LA San Francisco game from a couple weeks ago that I did commentary on. I will say last I saw it on YouTube, the audio was not synced up basically at all for basically the entire game. I'm sorry. I don't know why that's happened. Maybe it's fixed now. Or you can just watch it for all the highlight plays and you don't have to listen to my commentary. Or you can listen to my commentary and the audio, at least again, when I watched it, was ahead. I can just spoil everything that happens for you ahead of seeing it. But I encourage folks to go watch it because, helped Arizona get in. Sascha, want to break down the 2-3 matchup, Oregon-San Diego?
Yeah, Oregon-San Diego. San Diego was 5-1, only lost to the undefeated Seattle team, and Oregon at 3-3, who lost to San Diego in Utah at Wild Wild Weekend, 14-11. So that San Diego wants to repeat that, and Oregon wants to not repeat it, obviously, and they want revenge. Some players to watch out for on Oregon. We got Morgan Zajon with the craziest stat line out of everybody, highest plus minus in the entire league so far. She's at a plus 31, plus or minus. She's at
plus 5 per game.
Yeah. She's had 5 turnovers the entire season. That's less than 1 per game. With 18 goals, 9 assists, 9 blocks.
18 goals. I think that might be the most single quantity for any given player. I think Rodenberg beats out on the per game, but 18 total in 6 games. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. I'm double checking on the site here, and it does look like 18 goals is the most.
Incredible. Shout out Morgan Zajon for being an absolute monster.
Yeah. And then 2 other players. We have Aly Steinfeld with 12 goals, 14 assists, and 3 blocks, and notably has over 2,000 yards of offense. That's throwing and receiving yards together, over 2,000. And I believe that she is second in the league, just behind Paige Kircher, Paige Kircher in 4 games played had 1,800 throwing yards in 4 games played.
That's absurd.
So many. Anyways, back to Oregon. And then last player, Claudia Tajima, with 3 goals, 17 assists, and 3 blocks. 17 assists is, I believe, one of those league highs as well.
Certainly up there, if not the
it's
highest assist total.
It is way up there. So those are the players to watch for in Oregon. Now for San Diego, we have the people that we talk about all the time. Obviously, I mean, we talk about these players all the time, and they are very good, and so that's why we talk about them all the time. And they put up ridiculous stat lines, like Kristen Pajunas with 17 blocks on the season.
17 blocks.
That's 3 blocks a game. Kayla Helton with 11 blocks as well. And Kayla's only played 4 games. That's about 3 blocks a game as well.
Yeah.
And both Kayla and Kristen put up 7 goals, and Kristen had 5 assists and Kayla 6. They're putting up the numbers.
Yeah.
Alex Diaz is another one to watch out for. 12 assists and 6 goals and 3 blocks. Yeah,
you gotta love ridiculous stat lines.
Yeah. Oh, and okay, I didn't realize this before when looking at this. Alex Diaz has only played 3 games.
Yeah, sure enough, with 12 assists.
With
4 assists per game.
That's so. Here's a free pick for you in the
fan fantasy.
Fan fantasy. Pick Alex Diaz for assists. There you go.
Probably
you're welcome.
Especially at home.
Yeah, and at home.
At home.
And then one more player we'll talk about. Avery Jones has 11 goals and 12 assists and 5 blocks on the season. And has the most total yardage out of the entire San Diego team as well at 1,700, a little bit over 1,700 yards.
That's so much. All of it is so much. And they don't quite have per game numbers yet, but from what we're seeing, it's like if you can hit or get very close to or get over 3 whatever a game, you are doing very well for yourself. That will probably be either leading the league or close to leading the league in terms of around 3 per game, which is helpful to keep track of and think about heading into the weekend and in general heading into 2023. Picks for this game, Sascha. Who do you have, San Diego or Oregon?
I have Oregon.
Ooh, okay.
I know.
Say more.
I understand that Oregon lost to San Diego this season.
It's true.
By only 3 points. But did we watch the game that they put up with Seattle? They lost the game, but did we watch that game?
It was very good. They were leading.
It was very good.
Heading into the fourth quarter.
They could have won that game.
They could have.
So I think Oregon is going to take this one.
Okay. I like the pick. I'm going to go with San Diego. I'm picking chalk because that feels safe. I'm leading in picks. Also, San Diego has been very good at home. They will have a home crowd. That will absolutely be a thing. I think that will help. And we don't have rosters out yet for the weekend, but if Kayla Helton is playing, I feel even better about the pick. If she's not, then okay, maybe it gets a little bit tighter. So,
well, let's see how she is. Okay, so she coaches the AUDL team. She's one of the co-coaches for the San Diego Growlers. And if we look at their schedule, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. If they are at home, which this weekend, 5/14.
Yep.
San Diego Growlers are playing a home game this weekend.
There you go.
So it's pretty safe to say that Kayla's going to be there.
So I feel pretty good about that pick. All right. So we can't fully predict pick the third place game, pick the final. But we can take guesses. based on our picks. So both of us, for the third place game, picked against Arizona, and then I picked against Oregon, and you picked against San Diego. Who do you have to win this potential third place game with who we assume based on our individual picks?
I think San Diego.
Okay. Yeah, because Oregon beat San Diego in your instance. And I will do likewise. I will pick Oregon to beat Arizona. So sorry, shading Arizona. Sorry, Sidewinders fans, but also your team went 2-4 and barely made it in. So
Arizona's also going to be missing a few people. From what I've been told, that they are going to be missing their head coach. They're going to be missing Ari Nelson and missing Megan Maxfield.
Sure, pretty significant losses across the board. Well, good luck. Congratulations to the Sidewinders for making it in the first place. How about our finals picks, our championship picks? Who will be the inaugural Western Ultimate League champions? Sascha.
You go first.
I go first?
You go first this time.
Fine. I'm going to pick what I think will make for the most interesting story for me to write about coming out of championship weekend, which is that San Diego and Seattle's undefeated run. San Diego for the championship at home, beating Seattle for the very first time. Sascha.
Well, you see, I'm also picking against Seattle. I'm picking this Oregon team to win the whole thing.
This feels dangerous for both of us.
This is very dangerous for both of us. Because, again, we saw this Oregon team play very, very well.
It's true.
They played well against San Diego, and they played well against Seattle. And I think that with it being the high pressures of a championship weekend and the championship game, they can do it. I think they can do it. They're going to do it.
All right.
They're going to do it. No, not I think. They're going to do it.
Okay. Well, if Oregon is going to do it, they're probably going to have to get a big game from Aly Steinfeld, who we're going to talk to after a brief break when we get back, talking to Aly Steinfeld, Oregon Onyx player and Western Ultimate League board member. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back from our mini break. We are now with Oregon Onyx player and Western Ultimate League board member Aly Steinfeld. Aly, excited to have you here before championship weekend. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jenna and Sascha. This is awesome.
So, Aly, you are out of the Oregon area, having coached in the last club season with Oregon Schwa, playing with Onyx in the inaugural season. Onyx didn't even exist until, you'll have to tell me exactly, but I feel like it was only a few months before the season actually started, since Oregon didn't play at the Winter Cup in December. What has it been like to be a part of this team in its very first season, trying to bring different folks together from, obviously, Schwa and other members of the Oregon Ultimate community?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oregon, I can't remember exactly when their application to the league was accepted and finalized, but it was not in time for Oregon to come to Winter Cup. And you're right, I've been coaching in the community previous to this professional season, but I've been blissfully stepped back from the operations of the Onyx team. The leadership there, JC Jones, Jake Johnson, and Joel Caswell, they've done a really great job of putting the team together, doing the recruiting aspects, doing the planning, where I get to do what I love, which is play. I am definitely getting my fill on the organizational side with the board, like you said, on serving on the WUL board, which has been awesome and super fulfilling. But I have to say, being able to play in the league and experience it in that way has just been totally amazing.
That sounds great. I mean, organizing is fun. Being, trying to get everything together is fun. But, at the end of the day, playing is the most fun, obviously.
Yes.
So glad you're getting a chance to play. So for people who might not know who you are, what is what's your playing career? Like, how did you start playing? Just start from the beginning, go to now.
Okay, so very beginning was in high school. A friend of mine knew what Ultimate was and said, I want to play Ultimate, and recruited a bunch of us to go play. And I was a founding member of my high school's Ultimate Frisbee Club, which was a bunch of soccer and football players who got together once a week and played Ultimate with each other, just scrimmaged. It was legitimate because we stalled. And that's what I tell people. So I had played some Ultimate in high school. I went to college at Elon University. This was pre D3. So Elon is now a D3 program. We were not then. And I really enjoyed that time there. But as with many D3 schools or D3 level schools, we were not coached. We had, 10 to 15 people at most tournaments. So it was a lot of fun. I also came into my freshman year coming off of a torn ACL, and then tore that ACL again at the end of my freshman year. So spent a lot of my college career rehabbing my knee and getting healthy. I joke, and this I believe is like pretty true, I did not learn how to throw a flick until I was like 25. So after college, I took a year off of playing, going into grad school. I moved up to Boston, and after a year or so, I joined, a local league team, and someone said, hey, you should come try out for my club team. And so I did that, and I played mixed for 4 or 5 years. I played for just a random team up there, and then was a founding member of Wild Card in 2012, who, as we know, have gone on to do awesome things. But in 2016, I guess late 2015, I was invited to try out for Team USA for WUGC, and had the opportunity to play with the best women in the world at that tryout, and really experience what high-level women's Ultimate was like. And I haven't looked back since. That spring in 2016, I tried out for Brute Squad. I won a national championship with them my rookie season, which is how many people have that opportunity. Played a couple more years before I moved out west for my spouse's job. He's a physician, and so entered the match, and we don't get a choice of where you go, although we wanted to move to Oregon. And so we moved out here. I was also pregnant. I was 10 weeks pregnant at Nationals in 2018, which is very cool looking back. And now I have 2 kids, and I have Onyx is my re-debut playing since then. And so it's been an amazing experience to get back into things. But yeah, that's my career. Also, I guess when I made Brute Squad, I started handling. And when I tried out for Onyx, I said, no, thank you, I'm a cutter. And I have to say, cutting is where it's at. It is so much fun. I can't get enough of it. So that's my history. And here I am. Now I'm a pro. It's crazy.
And here you are. That's incredible. Sounds like that's a great career. I mean, winning a national championship is just a great career. And now you're trying to add a professional championship to it too.
Yes, that would be very cool. A teammate of mine, Jackie Wataoka, who is just phenomenal. I love her to death. She asked us when we were in Utah for Wild Wild Weekend, there were a bunch of us hanging out, and she said, what's your Frisbee bucket list? And I couldn't come up with anything because I felt like I didn't have anything left, except for, of course, this pro season and things that have to do with my kids when they get old enough to really play.
Very cool. So obviously, as mentioned, a already pretty storied career on the playing field. Aly, you and I have known each other for what feels like a long time now, which I feel like is only 4 or 5 years, but it feels like ages in the Frisbee world. And that's partially because I remember, I forget if this was 2017 or 2018, we were talking a lot and interacting a lot online around all of the gender equity stuff. And obviously, the Western Ultimate League focused on women and non-binary players. Was it meant for you to have such a focus and be so present in the work of gender equity in Ultimate for years now.
Yeah, I think so. I remember back in Boston, I helped out with the MLU team, the Boston Whitecaps, for a few years. Had to pause there to make sure I got it right. And a local reporter asked me at one point while we were at a game, some event, and said, "What about the women's team?" And I was just like, I had no answer, and it sucked. And so that was kind of a mini turning point for me in being like, professional Ultimate is great, but where are the women? Where is the equity piece? That story that I just told, that was like 2012 or 2013 that happened. And so kind of since then, I've been involved in Buddha back in Boston, working on their equity committee when I lived there. Coming out to Portland, I immediately got involved coaching the girls' youth scene here. And I've been doing that my entire career as well. Not in Portland, obviously, but, or just in Portland, but trying to find ways to give back and promote to the world that like women athletes are not lesser. Like the reason that people view women's sports as lesser is not because they are, it's because for decades, centuries, men's sports have been the norm. And so to say that women have a place in the sporting world has been a question, not a truth. And I think that working with the WUL is a really good opportunity to kind of shift the narrative and show the public the truth that women are awesome athletes, women, non-binary, trans athletes, the whole spectrum, right? This big question of who do we include when we're being inclusive, as many people as possible, but what does that even look like is still a question that we're trying to answer. But like I said, just trying to prove to the world that these athletes are not lesser. They are as much, if not more. Particularly, I think, in the case of people who are biological mothers, even non-biological mothers who have to deal with the stress of motherhood on a day-to-day basis. But, when I say biological mothers, I speak from personal experience in like physical changes and trauma to someone's body. And so I think that it wasn't necessarily something that I knew was in my future when I first started playing and got involved in Ultimate. And now I look back and I think I wish I had done more, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
Yeah, we definitely are seeing a shift in the narrative already. The popularity of the WNBA and, the women's soccer teams and all these other women's professional leagues. And I mean, we see, I think is it in Portland? There's a bar that only shows women's sports. Yeah. Like we're seeing this shift, and it's really cool to see that, there are more and more people hopping on the hype train for women's sports.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's the Sports Bra is the bar, and they've got Onyx gear on their walls, and they host watch parties for Oregon Onyx. Like it's really cool to have that in my city. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah. And so I know a big part of your identity is being a mother. So what is it like being a mother while also playing professional sports?
Difficult. Coming into this season was like a big question of how am I going to find the time to train? I am a stay-at-home mom. When, as I mentioned, I was pregnant when we moved to Oregon in 2019, and then the pandemic hit in early 2020. So, and I'm a teacher by trade, so I've been at home with my kids, and it is really draining and really like attention and energy consuming. Sascha, I know that you know this. Jenna, if you've ever spent time around little kids, you know this in your heart, right? Yes. Like it is this like really intense like involvement when you're with a little kid, because there's no distraction for them. It's you are it. And so how am I going to train? How am I going to get babysitting together? How am I going to literally have time to do this? So there's been shifts in my lifestyle, right? Like I negotiated a cheap price on a jogging stroller from my neighbor, and I take the kids on runs around our hilly neighborhoods. And that's like a huge piece of my training, because I can do it with the kids. I get the agility ladder out in the cul-de-sac, and we all three of us run through the agility ladder together, varying levels of skill, but still, like, that's how I get it in. Or even do like ladder drills while I'm pushing a stroller, because I don't have a ladder in front of me, but my feet know how to go fast. I do hang cleans with a toddler instead of a bar and weights. Like, it's like quite literally like a circus in my house when I'm trying to train. And so being a mom has been like really difficult, but also like motivating, right? I have a female assigned at birth child who might grow up continuing to identify as female and want to have this opportunity. And so for me to be able to say, like, yeah, I was a professional athlete, I did that, you can do it too. And even if it wasn't me, we've got a whole league of athletes out here, the WUL and the PUL, not to mention the NWSL, the WNBA, everything, all of these women that are just setting an unbelievable example for the young ones right now, has been inspiring to me and inspired me to try to like step into that role as well for myself. And which is partially why I've been having so much fun playing this season, as I feel so grateful for the opportunity, despite having two little kids that need someone else to watch them, right? Like they can't just like hang out at the game by themselves. And also like so grateful that my body has been able to hold up through birthing pregnancy and birthing two children and then getting back on the field. It's been a struggle in a lot of ways, but I'm also feeling like pretty strong and really grateful for that, like basically a coincidence, because many mothers do not have that same privilege to like feel physically well after going through a pregnancy and labor. So I feel unbelievably grateful, which I think has been a part of why I've had so much fun this season, is like kind of embracing that, like, this is an awesome opportunity and I'm going to have as much fun as I can with it.
Yeah. Talk to us about that celebration that you had against Seattle.
You're talking about the swaddle? The
Yep.
swaddle. So I don't remember exactly when I came up with that idea, but there is a Slack message in our Onyx Moms Slack channel in which I am eliciting ideas for a spike, is what I was calling it, but a celebration really. And I put that out there. Like, what about swaddling the disc? And people kind of said, yeah, maybe. And then like kind of day of, I thought this might be my last chance. Like I got to do it. And so I practiced it a bunch. It was a little harder, honestly, to take my shirt off with my gloves on. I had not practiced it with the gloves on. So I'm definitely like fumbling at the beginning of it. Also, I think I was a little sweatier than I anticipated. But yeah, like that is just a fundamental truth of being a mom, right? Like, or being a parent, really. Like, you got to swaddle that baby, tuck those arms and legs in, rock them to sleep. So I've done a few rock the baby cellies this year too. It's just a fundamental truth of being a parent that I don't think people get, because like the parenting theme is left out of professional sports largely, and probably because historically it's been a men's space. And so I really love seeing moms out there. Crystal Dunn is like 8.5 months pregnant. She's an NWSL player for Portland Thorns, and you can watch videos on her Instagram of her out doing drills with the team. And it's just like, yes, like this is visible. It's out there showing what it takes to be a professional athlete and a mom. And so it's really awesome to have those role models. And it's like extra awesome to have the opportunity to be a role model in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the celebrations have to come after scoring goals. And you have done that in bunches. Shout out Western Ultimate League. Y'all now have aggregated stats for each player across the entire season, which is amazing. Much appreciation for that. As again, aforementioned in other episodes, I'm very much a stats nerd. You are listed as having 12 goals and 14 assists, which is a lot. The assists only behind your former Brute Squad teammate, Claudia Tajima. How's it been to be so successful on the field in goals and assists, and also especially alongside Claudia, who you've played with in now both club settings and pro settings?
Yeah, so to be so successful, I have to say, I didn't know that was going to happen. Like I said before, I spent 3 years handling for Brute Squad, and I really developed my throwing prowess there. But I didn't want to handle anymore. Cutting's way more fun. So when I tried out for Onyx or expressed interest in Onyx, that was what I said I wanted to do. And they have been really gracious to, help me find my role there. I think, like I said, I have this storied history. Really, I'm like old. So I have lots of experience. And I am really fortunate to have played with unbelievable players before. I mean, Claudia Tajima is just one of them. But, one of my assists, probably more than one, but one of my assists was a throw to Claudia where I remember looking over my shoulder and there she was cutting up line. And I thought, well, this is going to be the easiest thing I do all game. Like, just throw a goal, throw an up line to Claudia and she'll catch it and no problem. Claudia is just a phenomenal player, and I feel so lucky to get to play with her again out here. I think that she is just a rock for our team, any team she's on, and so many other teammates. I especially want to shout out Aubrey Bishop, who, similar to me, has both handled and cut her entire career. But Aubrey's on the D line, and so she doesn't get as much credit. But Aubrey is tall, she's fast, she drew the Dina Elamelic matchup when we played LA, right? And she is just a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal person. And part of why I wanted to play was to play with these people, to play with Claudia, to play with Aubrey, and get those opportunities to be on the field with them. And it's just like icing on the cake that I've found this success on the stats sheet.
The stats look good. They're very well taken. Who was it? You were telling us that someone went and was doing the stats for every single game and every single team for the season.
That's right. So this was brought up on WUL Insider's Twitter earlier this week when the stats got republished. But we had someone reach out to us before the season started with interest in doing the stats as you see now on the website. Those advanced stats with, yardage. They are tracking things like break throws, even like break side movement, foreside movement, that sort of stuff. That person is Ben Sadis, who graduated from Michigan a few years ago, maybe even longer than that. But he basically said, hey, if your broadcast quality is going to be like it was at Winter Cup, then I can do these remotely. And I would love to do it because I guess he wanted that project. It was an interesting project for him to see the whole league, all the games. And we were able to say yes, we are going to, as the WUL, maintain this broadcast quality. And that has given us and Ben this opportunity to have these incredible stats, truly incredible. If you look through it, it goes so far as to see hucks and huck completions. There are some stats that are not even included because we didn't want to have literally everything on there to confuse people and make it harder to find interesting stuff. But I am incredibly grateful to Ben for doing that. And I know that the WUL is also grateful. We have it's one of those things where what are all of the pieces that we need to be a true professional sports league? And I feel like tracking those statistics is one of those kind of major pieces. And it was great to have the Ulti Analytics stats kind of in somewhat real time, as games ended. But having these detailed stats that also we know are very accurate has just been totally awesome. And I can't say how excited and happy I am that we have this information. And to all the fans out there, you can expect to see more information, more graphics, more data coming out where we are doing comparisons and the like between players and teams and among all the different information that we have. So I'm excited.
I think we're both also very excited because again, I haven't had a chance yet to really dive in, but I'm excited to just sort of pour through and find, all right, what are like the best goals per game and assists per game and overall, and the yardage stats I think are really interesting, and I think finding different ways, especially, and I know that, I mean, the MLU, that was a throwback reference earlier, but the AUDL and the PUL, I think the more that Ultimate can figure out what stats are important and what we can measure consistently and reliably as a way to measure success, I think will be more helpful going forward. And I think having aggregated stats for every single player is an amazing step forward, especially having them so easily accessible and findable and that sort of thing. So I'm excited for the next step of stats and such going forward. Should we talk a little sneak insider, shall we say, look to Twitter? Western Ultimate League Insider Twitter account. Aly, can you share with us who runs said Twitter account that is well known for fan fantasy and stats and such?
Yeah, so in leading up to Winter Cup, we were looking for some way to have fan engagement. And so we came up with our fan fantasy idea. I wish I was in on this joke. We came up with our fan fantasy idea, and then it was literally like Saturday night of Winter Cup that I was like, we need someone to talk to the fans about fan fantasy. And so I came up with the idea and the name, which I'm most proud of, for WUL Insider, and slacked to the board at 11 p.m. on Saturday night or something like that, anxiously awaiting someone to give a thumbs up. And, around 9 a.m. the next morning, I had the go-ahead. So boom, I created the Twitter account, and I am WUL Insider. Jenna, you caught me.
There it is. The reveal, folks. The reveal.
The best part of this story, I think, is that the first person who asked WUL Insider who they were was Sascha, who I was friends with outside of any of this. So I was like, well, I can't lie to Sascha. I just have to tell him to keep it a secret. So it's me, and it has just not been revealed so far for my own vanity's sake and whatever. I don't know, trying to not be embarrassed by the silly things I say. And I've definitely made mistakes, plenty of typos. I apologize to all the players who I've misspelled their names. Jade McLaughlin and Cody Lippincott come to mind, but I know there are others. And, it's just been a fun way to talk about the stats part of it, because I agree with you, Jenna, that measuring these things is really important to provide the ability to fans to engage. Like, if we don't know who scored the goals, then what are people going to talk about?
It's true. It does make it more difficult.
So I think that that's been something that I've both been nervous about and proud of this season, and appreciate all of our dedicated players of fan fantasy. Y'all keep me excited about it. So thank you.
Is there going to be one more week for championship weekend of fan fantasy?
Oh, yeah. So I'm really excited for fan fantasy for championship weekend. Everyone who plays is automatically entered to win a raffle to win a championship t-shirt. This is the same t-shirt that the winning team is going to get, and all of the players who are there are going to sign it, the players on the winning team. And then also the overall winner will get a player background of their choice, any player in the league. If anyone has seen those graphics that have come out on Twitter over the last week or so, they are phenomenal, done by our board members, JC Jones and Leah Smith. And then as well as that, not player specific, but team digital backgrounds for folks to use as well. So those are the prizes for fantasy this week. I'm super excited for that. But also, I think the biggest prize is bragging rights. You win. I love to win. Yeah. I know Sascha loves to win.
Yeah.
Jenna, I know you like to win. Everyone likes to win. So play to win.
Well, it should be exciting for championship weekend. Any insider info on Onyx's game plan against San Diego. In San Diego, y'all lost in Utah to them 14-11. Any thoughts, or is it just Claudia tries to hit Aly deep and we go from there?
I don't think Claudia has thrown me a single huck this season. Not that there's not time.
There's still time. That's true.
But there's still time. Short answer is no. I am not going to give you game plan information other than Oregon is full of ballers and we're going to ball out and win that semis game and go into finals and win that too.
Good luck.
Sounds like a game plan to me.
Sascha, anything else?
So looking forward to the future. What's the future like? What next season? What you going to be playing with Oregon again?
I mean,
what's happening? That
would be the dream, right? To just keep it going. I think that Oregon Onyx is in a really good place. We played most of our games at Providence Park, which is where the Timbers and the Thorns play in the MLS and NWSL. I imagine that relationship continuing, and I think that it is just like an unbelievable experience to do that. And so I would love to return and play. I don't know exactly what the future holds for me, but I know that my teammates are going to be out there doing it no matter what my plans end up being.
I like the non-answer.
That all sounds great.
You think you're slick. I'm kidding. I like it.
It wasn't supposed to be a secret non-answer.
Anything else?
That's okay.
Aly.
I just want to shout out all of the phenomenal work that the people on the board have been doing for the WUL. This is a volunteer-run organization, and people are putting in the work and the sweat like I have not seen before, including myself. I'm sweaty right now. This has been an amazing experience to work with a group of women who are just so driven to make this happen. And like I mentioned earlier, I didn't necessarily know that this was going to be part of my career in Ultimate, but the fact that it is, I couldn't be happier. And the work with the WUL has been really fulfilling for me. And like I said, playing is just icing on the cake.
Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you on. And
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And good luck this weekend. I said this off mic. I'll say it on mic. I also tweeted this. I am planning to be down in San Diego covering the championship weekend for Ulti World to Aly. I will see you down there. Best of luck, and best of luck to Onyx as a whole.
Thank you, Jenna. I'll see you in a few days.
See you in a few days. Thank you again to Aly Steinfeld, Oregon Onyx player, Western Ultimate League board member, for joining us on the show. Aly, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we return, we're going to wrap, and we'll talk to you all in just a sec.
And there she was, Jenna.
Indeed. Thank you again to Aly Steinfeld for joining us. Sascha, great to get the insider view on everything Western Ultimate League. Well, it's like being a mom playing Pro Ultimate. Aly, great career on the field and doing tons of great work off the field as well.
Yeah, this is my first time meeting Aly in, I guess, through the internet. No, I mean, I guess in person, kind of, because we're on like a Zoom call type thing.
Face to face?
Face to face. There we go. There's the word. And it was a pleasure. She is awesome.
Shout out Aly. Awesome, cool person. Yeah. Should we do the rest of our picks? We did the West Ultimate League picks before we talk to Aly. Let's do the Premier Ultimate League picks for the weekend. We have 6 games on the docket. 3 games. Medellin Revo Pro starting their road trip and visits to Milwaukee, Minnesota, and Portland for Atlanta, Austin, and Columbus, respectively. Let's start with Atlanta, Milwaukee. Sascha, who do you have?
I am going with Milwaukee.
That tracks to me. Atlanta has struggled this season, to say the least. And while Milwaukee has taken a couple of losses, at least, to DC and Medellin, I think they will have enough to get the job done against Atlanta and at home.
Let's be honest. The DC and Medellin, like, that's their, yeah.
And Raleigh, too. It's all the same idea. Yeah.
It's rough.
Very, very, very good teams that make other good teams look bad. Yeah. Austin, on the road, once again, this time all the way up in Minnesota. Sascha, who is your pick?
I am picking Minnesota.
Minnesota at home, okay.
They looked really great playing the Pride and Indy Red. I liked what I saw. They played well, even in, I think, wasn't it windy? If I remember correctly, it's been windy for like every single week.
I feel like it was windy.
So it was
all
pretty
of
windy.
That
but yeah, like, and I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Minnesota this week, but
I can tell you in Minneapolis, it is. I was just about to look this up. On Saturday, a high of 75 degrees, low of 53 degrees, and a 9% chance of getting any sort of rain.
Wow,
so probably
that's like
pretty decent weather.
That's like perfect weather.
Let's see. Hard to say wind this far out. Wind highs of about 15 miles an hour. So could be some significant gusts, but it depends on exactly how the weather goes. And wind is always hard to predict this far out. I'm going to go Austin. I think the loss to Portland was more of the fluke rather, and that the wins against Atlanta and Nashville are more of the norm. I think they have enough firepower to get it done yet again on the road, make it 3 straight road wins for Torch. All right, next game, Columbus at Portland. Portland undefeated, sitting top of the East Division, if that's a thing. We talked about standings earlier. Columbus or Portland? Who is your pick, Sascha?
I am picking Portland.
Okay. I will copy that. Portland as well. They're at home. They're undefeated. I don't see the real reason to pick against them. It picks against my championship weekend picks, but as it goes, at this point, it's not looking great for them.
Looking forward.
I was also just realizing as we're talking about championship weekend picks, we didn't confirm this, but for the Western Ultimate League, our championship picks, we both have 3 in and 1 out. We both picked Seattle and Oregon. We both missed on Utah, and our 4th picks actually both made it in, San Diego and Arizona. So no change there. All right. 2, Medellin's road trip starting in New York. Sascha, who do you have?
I have Medellin on this first one.
Okay. Any further explanation? That's just it.
That's it.
I will copy you. I think Revo Pro first game of their road trip will be as fresh as they will likely be all road trip.
See, and this is where it gets difficult.
These next two are going to be brutal. First one, Revo Pro playing at Shadow. Sascha, you gotta make a decision.
I know. Because here's my thoughts. Like, we've seen Shadow play, but we've only seen Revo play once.
We have. That's true.
And this is the second game of a road trip. And it's is it the day after or is it the same day? It's the day after. I'm assuming that they are traveling from New York to DC, so it's like it's a grind. Like this, I'm going DC.
Okay.
Going DC.
Going DC. Shadow to take it. I will actually copy you on that. I think as long as the World Games team isn't having a practice or something, which if Kayla is playing in San Diego, then the crew of Groom and Trope and Normile, I think that's it. I'm sorry if I'm sliding somebody, because my brain is not always great about remembering people off the top of my head, will be available for Shadow for this game. How about Revo Pro at Radiance? Same thing, right? It feels like the same thing.
It's the same thing. I'm gonna say Radiance.
Okay. Any further explanation for that one?
Nope. They're undefeated. They've been dominant in every single aspect of the game. I really think that Medellin is gonna give both of these teams like a really good game. They're both gonna be great games, but the travel and the turnaround is just gonna be a lot.
Yeah, this game in Raleigh happening on, I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep. Tuesday night. So they'll have a rest day in between. I'm going to go Revo Pro. Medellin getting the win in Raleigh. Not a huge reason for it other than Radiance,
Picking
I think, going to
Mm-hmm.
be missing Lindsay Sue, among others, out with, I think it's a torn ACL for Sue, which is absolutely brutal. You hate to see it. And I think Raleigh is weaker for it. They have a fantastic team, a great roster of players. I think missing Sue could be the end up being a touch of a weak link against a very, very strong Medellin team that will have a rest day before having to play against Raleigh. And that's our picks for this week. I think that's the show, Sasha. Highlight of the week. Again, Rebecca Hunter, Nashville Nightshade. Incredible layout grab. That was to give Nashville a 6-5 lead, pretty sure, in that game.
That was a really sweet grab. It was like trailing in and grabbing it from the top as it was blading it down. Like I was during a layout too. It was great. It was really cool. And I'll definitely clip it and put it on the Twitter after when this episode is released.
Sounds great. Sasha, anything else before we get to our sub-only bonus segment where we talk about some of the PUL, WUL players who would make good disc golfers, or in some cases are already professional disc golfers for that matter?
Nope. It's going to be a very exciting weekend with, Revo making their debut in the States. I'm excited for it.
And Western Ultimate League Championship weekend down in San Diego. Of course. Again, I will be there. I'm planning to be there. Planning to fly down to San Diego on Saturday morning from the Bay Area. So if you're going to be there, say hi. Let me know. Let me know what you think of the podcast. Please. Hope you're enjoying it. This has been episode 6. We hope you enjoy. Again, if you're a subscriber, stick around for our sub-only bonus segment. Until next time, I'm Jenna Weiner. He's Sasha Vogel. Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.